So right now we're going to look at solving a word problem using our skills of solving algebraic equations. So the first thing I'm going to do is read this problem. It says the area of a rectangle is 8 square units. If the width of the rectangle is 2 3/4 units, what is the length? Now anytime I see a word problem, the first thing that I want to do is pick out my important information. And the most important part of any word problem is what it's asking you. And in this case, we're trying to determine what is the length. So we are trying to figure out the length of this rectangle. There's a lot of other information that this problem gives us that will help us to determine what the length is. The first thing is we know we're looking for a rectangle, and we know the area of that rectangle is 8 units. So the area is 8. Again, we are looking for the length. We also know, because the problem tells us, that the width of the rectangle is 2 3/4. So based on the information the problem has given us, we know the width, we know the area, and what we're looking for is the length. And the other important piece of information in this problem is that we're talking about a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch a rectangle for myself just to help keep my information organized and to put it where it actually makes sense. So here's what we know. We know the area of this rectangle is 8 square units. We also know the width of this rectangle is 2 3/4 units. What we don't know is the length. We have one missing side. So based off of that information, length, width, and area, anytime we are talking about a rectangle and we're talking about the area, I know that we can use the formula area is the same as or equal to length times width. The good thing is this problem has supplied us all of the information that we need to solve this. We've already been told that the area of this figure is 8 square units. We also know that the width of this rectangle is 2 3/4 units. The only part we're missing is the length. So 8, which is the area, is the same as the length times 2 3/4. The area is the same as the length times width. Now, this problem is the same type of problem that we've been doing for the last couple days. It's just a one-step equation. And if 8 is the same as the length times 2 3/4, to isolate the variable, we're going to do the inverse operation. And the inverse or opposite of multiplication is division. So we'll divide each side by 2 3/4. By using the inverse operation, it allows us to cancel this out. And what we have remaining is the length. So by dividing 8 divided by 2 3/4, it's going to give us our answer, which is the length. So off to the side, we have to do that math. 8 divided by 2 3/4. A common mistake that people have been making with this is they're getting a little bit lazy and trying to do this step in their head. You have to write it exactly how it's written. 8 divided by 2 3/4, horizontally 8 divided by 2 3/4. Now we can go ahead and complete the mathematical operation of division. I know that this is 8 over 1. When I convert 2 3/4 to an improper fraction, the denominator times the whole number. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and the numerator stays the same. So we have 8 over 1 divided by 11 over 4. As we've been working with dividing fractions, you know that when you divide fractions, you keep the first fraction. We're going to keep it exactly how it's written, 8 over 1. You change the sign from division to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction and use the reciprocal. So 11 over 4, when you flip it, becomes 4 over 11. You've been multiplying fractions since 4th and 5th grade. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 11 is 11. 32 over 11 is the same as L, and in this case, L is the length. You've solved for it, and that is a perfectly acceptable answer.